So this month's theme is all about profit. And I guess thinking about it, it was really worthwhile putting a bit of effort into unpacking what it is, what profit actually is. And right up front, please understand, I'm not trying to be a smart ass or teach you to suck eggs, because my own personal story is embarrassing, I think. I know many years ago when I found out about Profit First, how I found out about it was I had a podcast and I was interviewing authors from all over the world, and I happened to stumble across Mike Michalowicz, who wrote the book Profit First, but this was prior to that. And I was interviewing him about a book called The Pumpkin Plan, which I highly recommend as a read, because you wouldn't believe how many similarities there are between running a successful small business and growing a giant pumpkin. You never would have thought that, but it is profound. So go get a copy of that. He, after the interview, a few weeks later, he got back in touch with me and said, I'm about to release a new book. Can I come back on the podcast? And I agreed, and being a studious interviewer, I guess, I went and got the book so I could read it before I spoke to him, so I could ask intelligent questions. And I just remember sitting there reading that book, and at the time, our business name wasn't Builder's Business Black Belt. It was actually uncoverhiddenprofits.com. And I'm sitting in my office, and it had sort of a video studio, and on the wall was uncoverhiddenprofits.com. And where my office is, where my desk was, it's right under the word profits. And I'm sitting there and reading this thing, and I'm going, it turns out I don't really understand what a profit is. And I've got a business called Uncover Hidden Profits, and I'm meant to be teaching people how to uncover them. And so that was a pivotal moment. And I know in the past, I had a great friend who was our accountant. We used to see him regularly. And in hindsight, I think that I really didn't understand what a profit was and how a profit and loss sheet worked, because I didn't want to seem silly and ask dumb questions. And I was never really motivated by the figures and the profit and loss and all of that sort of stuff. And when I read Profit First, and Mike Michalowicz was talking about bank account accounting. And so you need to understand, if you haven't read Profit First, it's a very simple system, but it's an emotional system. And it's a way of presenting your current financial situation to yourself in such a way that it challenges you emotionally. So you end up making really good financial decisions by default, because all of our decisions are made by emotion. Like there very few people make logical decisions. And if you're looking at a profit and loss sheet, for instance, to measure the financial health of your business, it's a bit too late, because a profit and loss is a lag measurement. In fact, Crismale Marshall has also written a book, Profit First for Tradies, Australian. It's a great book. Go get it. Reach out to Katie. And I was watching a video that she put online just a little while ago, and she's saying that this is one of the mistakes that builders make, is if you're using profit and loss and what's the other one, the balance sheet, as your measurement, as your dashboard, if you like, for financial success. They are what are called lag measurements. It means that the horse is already bolted. A lag measurement is, if you read about lean manufacturing, there's lead measurements and lag measurements. And let's say you're trying to lose some weight, getting on the scales and measuring your weight is a lag measurement. That is the result of the effort that you put in the previous days or weeks. So a lead measurement, if you're trying to lose weight, would be, what are you eating, how much of it you're eating, what sort of exercise and how much exercise, because they're the activities that will impact your weight. The scales are after the fact. So it's a lag measurement, and so is the balance sheet and the profit and loss. And I just really love the concept of looking in bank accounts and separating everything out of your number one bank account. Most people have one bank account, everything comes in, everything goes out. And before the money reaches your expense account, the tax is taken out, the super's taken out, the profit's taken out, the owner's pay is taken out, suppliers' money is taken out, subcontractors' money is taken out. And then the bit that's left is what you're running your business with, and it keeps you from getting in the shit. But we're having one of our Builders Business Black Belt Zoom sessions, so we have a couple a week with the group. And we were talking about this, and I was even saying we've invested in an investment property recently, looking at a second one. And whenever I talk to the wealth coach, I feel really good. And because he explains how things are working, and it's great. I feel really comfortable. But then when I'm left to my own devices, I start looking at things. I said to one of the guys in the group, I just seem to be in a perpetual state of panic about looking after the financial side of things. And that's what Profit First does too. And you might go, I don't want anything to do with that. I want to feel comfortable. But that's the secret to it. It is artificially reducing what you've got available to run your business. And it's not even really artificial, because if you do it properly, the money that's in your expense account is all that you've got to run your business with. But it's always skinny, because you're always increasing the amount of profit. So there's less in that bucket that you're running your business with. There's more in the profit. And it's bizarre how you forget about the profit and you just look nervously at your expenses account or operating expenses account. And it just keeps you mean and lean, and it's a good thing. So learning what profit is, what's left, the way that most people do it is just what's left over after you get the money in and all the expenses are paid. And most businesses are running on a hope strategy. Whereas if you take the profit first, you decide what it is and you put it away and protect it, and then you've got to somehow run your business on what's left over, you will find that you start to accumulate profit, and you accumulate a war chest, and it's really cool. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this and try and get across to you that, hey, I'm not standing here on a pedestal saying I know everything. It's the exact opposite, because I've been using Profit First for 13 years or ever since the book came out. And it wasn't until a couple of Christmases ago when I was reading Fix This Next, which was another one of Mike's books. And there was just a little passage in that where he unpacked really what his perspective of what net profit was, because it could be in the business bank account and you could label it net profit. But what he's saying is it's not really net profit until you've been able to remove it from the business, get it under your control, so you've paid the taxes, etc. But it's now your money and it's not required to pay bills or anything like that. It is yours as a reward for your effort, your sacrifice, your risk for running this business. And it is not required for anything, and you can do whatever you want with it. And I thought, there's one more little piece to the puzzle to understand this a little bit better. But the important thing about profit, I think, is that you know exactly what it is. Don't get it confused with gross profit and things like that. And you have the ability to measure your net profit in a dollar figure amount rather than a percentage, because many builders I talk to, they just talk about gross profit and markup and margin and things like that, and they never really talk about net profit. And if they do, it's still some kind of a hope strategy. They don't know the exact dollar figure. And I think it's important to know that, because clarity creates certainty. And I would encourage you not to use hope strategies. And that's more challenging than you'd think, because I know one of our black belt members, he's been with us for 12 years or something, Wayno, his name is, he's an awesome guy. And after a number of years of implementing Profit First, he admitted to me one day, he said, when we first started to do this, I understood about Profit First, but I didn't implement it because I just didn't want to know. And I know that sounds weird, but having talked about this with Wayno and other members, it seems to be more common than you'd think, that you don't really want to know the truth. You want to bury your head in the sand and hope that everything's going to work. And also the measurement that we're using as to whether we're profitable or not, if you're using the profit and loss, or even worse, using your accountant's, I suppose, explanation of your profit and loss once a year when you're meeting with them, it's like it's way too late. So knowing the dollar figure of the profit that you're going to extract out of a project is absolutely critical, but then being able to measure your progress throughout that project is really critical as well, because what's the point in knowing that you didn't make the profit that you thought you were going to, or didn't make any profit at all at the end of the project? What can you do about it then? The key with this is to be able to set up a system so you can measure your performance against your assumptions with a project in the smallest possible time window, let's say daily, if that were possible for you. Because if you're on track, you feel good. But if you start to get behind, you can do something about it. But if it's at the end of the project and you found out that you'd lost the profit that you thought you were going to get, there's nothing you can do about it. And then you've got to try and make it up in other projects, and you just end up playing catch up. And yes, this is difficult, and yes, this takes time, and yes, it takes effort, but building a system where you know more clearly how you're performing against your pricing and your assumptions is absolutely critical. As I said, there's no much point in knowing it under the facts. So I hope this makes sense. It is one of those things that I think is really important to invest some time and some effort in to get clearer and clearer, particularly with your pricing, and being able to be very certain that everything has been covered and you know exactly how much profit you're pulling out of a project. Anyway, I hope that stimulated your thoughts. I hope it got you thinking about how you measure your financial situation. And if you are one of those people that, you know, in your own mind, and you don't want to say it publicly, just don't want to know because you suspect it might be ugly, I really encourage you to pull your head out of the sand and start to look. And if you need any help with it, if you need to have a conversation about it, you know where to find us. We're easy to contact, and I'm more than happy to help. So there you go. Talk to you in another video soon. Bye for now.